President Trump putting the cartels on notice after the U.S. military vaporized a drug smuggling boat off the coast of Venezuela. 11 Tren de Agua narco terrorists got a one-way ticket to narco heaven.
They had massive amounts of drugs. We have tapes of them speaking. It was massive amounts of drugs coming into our country to kill a lot of people. They won't be doing it again. And I think a lot of other people won't be doing it again when they watch that tape. They're going to say, let's not do this.
Hegseth and Rubio say there's more where that came from.
So the president is sending a message to other cartels, right?
A very clear one. I can tell you that was definitely not artificial intelligence. I watched it live. We knew exactly who was in that boat. We knew exactly what they were doing, and we knew exactly who they represented. And that was Tren de Aragua, a narco-terrorist organization designated by the United States, trying to poison our country with illicit drugs. Last year, under the Biden administration, all 4 years, 100,000 Americans died from drugs, from the use of drugs, many of which poured in from Central and South America through our southwest border. Now, we're sealing the border, but President Trump is willing to go on offense in ways that others have not been. And to send that clear signal to Tren de Aragua, Cartel del Sols, and others emanating from Venezuela, we're not going to allow this kind of activity. You're poisoning our people. We've got incredible assets, and they are gathering in the region. What we have there in the Caribbean is a clear demonstration of military might. President Trump has shown, whether it's the southwest border, whether it's the Houthis in freedom of navigation, whether it's Midnight Hammer in Iran, that the precise application of American power can have incredible impacts and reshape dynamics around the world and in the region. So Nicolas Maduro, as he considers whether or not he wants to continue to be a narco trafficker, has some decisions to make. And so you want to try to traffic drugs, it's a new day. It's a different day. And so those 11 drug traffickers are no longer with us, sending a very clear signal that this is an activity the United States is not going to tolerate in our hemisphere.
The United States has long, for many, many years, established intelligence that allow us to interdict and stop drug boats. And we did that. And it doesn't work. What will stop them is when you blow them up, when you get rid of them.
And if Trump bombing narco-terrorists to smithereens isn't enough of a deterrent, at any moment, Kristi Noem will cut the ribbon at the latest Alligator Alcatraz franchise. The Louisiana lockup facility will host the worst of the worst illegals. All right, so Dana, this is an escalation in the war on drugs. I could see this expanding.
Beyond drugs, it's the war on terror, right? Because one of the things President Trump did when he first came back to office was to designate them as terrorist organizations. And at first, even during the campaign, remember, he had talked about the Mexican drug cartels, and this was a question, would you actually take military action against them? As the NATO leader said a couple of months ago, sometimes daddy has to step in. And what they're saying is, okay, well, this could happen to you. And I imagine that those Mexican cartels are wondering, wait, could this happen to us? I don't know, and maybe you guys do, if this was international waters. Not positive about that. I'd be curious.
Greg, good news. They're dead. Bad news. The price of cocaine's going to go up.
Oh, that's a shame. What am I going to do this weekend? This is what you call a message. It's well publicized. It's very clear. There's a certain outcome. If you're a smuggler, you're starting to rethink that decision to avoid career day at high school. Maybe selling trinkets on the beach aren't a bad idea. Maybe I should call my uncle and see if there's still an opening at the bodega. Who knows? What a change from the past. We are no longer, as a country, embracing decline. In one video, you just saw the solution for drugs, gangs, and late-night boating. Trump just said to America, I hear you, watch this. The sharks are happy. They just got a big free meal. But this is where the left's hierarchy of problems come into play. They see your problems, which is like crime, terror, drugs, as inferior to the other problems that the media also portrays, which is the rights of outsiders and the authoritarian fantasy that they keep placing on Trump. Those are the bigger problems. Your problems don't matter. Of course, that's why we spent a month talking about the Maryland dad. It's like, here was a guy that abused his wife, that was a human trafficker, but those were your problems. Our problem is that, you know, he's not getting his due process. I prefer that due process right there. What were the three big issues that the Democrats really failed America on? Crime, the border, trans. In each case, it wasn't about the criminal, the illegal, or the man in a dress. It was the Dems and the media telling you that their problems mattered more than yours, meaning you've been mugged, that matters less than the mugger not making bail. So your daughter has to undress in front of a guy in a locker room. That matters less than that man self-identifying his gender and having his rights preserved. That's where the Democrats went wrong. And this is a remedy. When you look at this is the remedy and the path forward is understanding what the problems are for the American people.
So on the surface, it seems like a righteous strike. Do the Democrats have a problem with this type of action?
I don't know. Good to be back around the table. Good to see everybody. I don't have a problem with it. I give the president a lot of credit. In his first administration, his first time as president, he floated the idea of attacking cartels directly in Mexico, and he had pushed back in his own administration from, I believe, his then Chief of Staff, John Kelly, and his Secretary of Defense at the time, Mark Esper. They laid out a compelling set of arguments as to what that would mean. You would have to have the cooperation. Even our own General Keane has speculated that you would have to have the cooperation of that government, and that military, and that law enforcement in that country. This here is different. Dana raised a good question. I don't know the answer whether these are international waters or not and what the implications might be. But Greg, I think your point may be the towering one. This sends a message like none other can, that even if this is outside of the realm of legality, and the courts will eventually tell us this, those on those boats know that they have a problem, that this president in our country now is going to protect and seal our borders against these kinds of things. Now, I think it's a two-pronged approach. I love what the things he's doing here. We'll see if it stands up to muster. We've learned here just before coming on the show that the president's effort with the universities, that a judge there said you can't freeze federal funds. So we'll sort through that when there's an opportunity to sort through it. But this here, Mr. President, congratulations. The second thing is, we need to launch another campaign. Some may call it corny, but President Reagan tried it. We need to also try to reduce our demand as a nation for fentanyl and all these kinds of things as well. But for any Democrat to be critical of the president for trying his hardest to do what he promised to do, which was to seal our borders from bad people and bad things, I'd say you don't know what happened last November, and I applaud the president for doing it.
Okay. Rosanna, before we get to you, did you say Greg was towering?
I said his point was a towering one.
The point was towering.
His point
I was just
towering.
confused.
Big point.
Hearing, it's not the size of the points, it's what you do with them.
Exactly.
Rosanna, please class it up from here.
I'll try my very best. It was shocking to see this bombing of this cargo ship. But finally, somebody's taking action. I kept thinking, parents all across America whose children were struggling with drugs, who died accidentally because of fentanyl poisoning, were probably celebrating this bombing. But it came probably too late for many families in America. And then I was thinking about New York City. And I know it's like comparing apples to oranges. But, you know, Mayor Adams, when he had the influx of immigrants, migrants, asylum seekers, whatever you want to call them, in New York City, thousands every week, didn't know what to do with them. And then New York City was faced with tons of robberies, assaults, shootings, drug trafficking, and it all was traced back to Tren de Aragua. I know you love Tren de Aragua. Yes, Venezuelan gang that has now infiltrated New York. In fact, I had Mayor Adams on Good Day New York this morning, and he talked about some of those crimes that we're seeing in the Bronx right now. Tons of shootings are linked to Tren de Aragua. They're here on our soils, right here. In this city. And it is a big problem. The police commissioner is on it. But yeah, it was kind of shocking to see that kind of action.
We'll probably have to see more of it.
Well, it sends a message, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Mexico may be next.
We'll see.
If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date with future videos. Thank you for watching.